The most important thing that I want you to take away from this last 11 weeks is that your activity, your nutrition, and your thinking have to be sustainable. If you've made changes and you've kind of picked up on a couple of things that I suggested, grab them, put them in your pocket, save them for later. You want to bring these things out when time comes to be tested, when stress comes up, when you change jobs, when you move, when you lose a loved one. These are the times that you need the extra tricks to become at least accessible. Sustainable changes are important. I don't want you to think that because you didn't make the weight that you were planning for, that you failed. Success is always measured in how you feel. Even if it's incremental changes over the course of 10 years, if you still proceed towards a goal. Remember the calendar in the beginning. I wanted you to start marking off the calendar so you can see that this 12 weeks passed by like that. And again, hopefully you made it to this point. Some of you didn't, some of you dropped out, some of you went away and came back, but the objective is to empower yourself to make changes and to figure out how to problem solve in making these lifestyle changes. If you can't do it on your own, seek out one of my friends, seek out a coach of some sort, registered dietitian, nutritionist. I've been mentioning that in all 11 weeks. Even a yoga practitioner or a hiker. You'll see with my group that I'm bringing next week to Utah, we did this to prepare, I wanted them to do this to prepare for something spectacular. Whether you go with me to Utah and watch the video next week, whether you go with me to Utah or go with me to some other summit in the next coming years, or whether you just get your own summit, your own pinnacle, that is the objective. If you just take the medicines that your doctor gives you, take the surgeries that were given to you and say, that's about it, that's not acceptable. If it's, in my opinion, even with cancer, if somebody says that's all we can do, unacceptable. There's always something else to be done. Whether you make it to 90 years of age or whether you make it to another day, it doesn't matter. The objective is to have your inner self resonate a positivity, a feeling of health. And again, I think you can do that with thinking, eating, and activity. That's my acronym, T. You can devise your own and you can follow other authors, but the objective is to just empower yourself to get there, whether you use my advice or other people. So, calendars, you can tuck them away, just stay safe, watch next week's video, continue with your lifestyle change. You're trying to maybe take a break and then plan a new pinnacle, a new summit 12 weeks from now or next year. Try to keep up with activity. In Illinois now, it's summer. As you can tell from the transitions, starting with snow and ending with heat. But no matter where you are, no matter which season you're going through, no matter what kind of crisis you're experiencing, there's always your way to see your next summit or plan a summit of some sort.
Water has a way of telling you that you should get rid of your watch and just listen. The things I wanted you to get in this last 11 weeks, I didn't want you to put away your calendar. What I plan is for perhaps in 12 weeks to consider another challenge. You know, if you remember my detox lecture, usually with the change of seasons, there'll be time to change around life, nutrition, activity. It's supposed to be summer here in Chicago, but it's still a bit cold, and it still hallmarks that there's going to be a change. Hopefully it's going to be hot in the next couple of weeks, and at that time we'll be able to kayak more, be able to get out on bikes, be able to run, or take advantage of other sports that are outdoors. So it opens up a whole bunch of possibilities for activity. The one thing with sustainability is that you have to enjoy what you're doing. And if you don't, it's probably not going to be sustainable. My suggestion is that you pick an activity, you try something different all the time. In this next 12 weeks, just try to maintain the successes that you've reached so far, and then that'll leapfrog you to our next 12-week challenge. If you can, try to invest in some new form of activity. Search for things on Groupon or your local park districts, your forest preserves. Just keep an eye out and the options will come to you. And investigate. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, at least you tried. Again, you'll try to have a whole bunch of little successes to put away in your pocket for when it comes time to pull them out again. That's during times of stress or, as I mentioned before, ill health, disease. The other things that you'll have to remember are that with nutrition, I want you to try to keep up as best as possible your changes. One of the easiest things to keep into account is when you go shopping at the grocery store, please try to stick to the periphery. I kind of call it the shallows. If you're in the shallows, you're safe. If you're in the deep part, in the center, then you're not so safe. If you stick to the periphery of your grocery store, you'll stick to the whole foods and avoid the processed stuff. Usually the fruits and vegetables are on the periphery. All the healthy stuff is on the periphery. The deeper you go in the center, the more problems you're going to come up with, especially with processed foods, high sugary foods, all those things that supposedly give you comfort but actually give you a high cortisol response and insulin dumping. Don't forget about the glycemic index. The other thing is nature will always be important to try to take advantage of. If you can get out, great. If you can't get out, try to meditate or take up some form of new relaxation therapy. Robert Lustig, in his book Fat Chance, talks about creating time. I have a lot of parents, moms especially, who say that I just don't have time for meditation, or I don't have time for exercise. And I respectfully disagree. I think there's ways, even in a 24-hour time period, that you can open up and create time. Now think of it this way: when you're doing homework for a kid or with your children, or you're trying to get through a project that you're doing, if you only have 5 hours to do it and you're stressed for the whole 5 hours, you're not going to be productive. If during that 5 hours you take a 1 hour break, say away from the screen or away from eating processed foods, high sugary drinks, and you're more productive because of the exercise that you took into place or because of the healthy meal that you just took, green frozen drink, something blended with ginseng, something to wake you up, you're going to be able to process faster, problem solve more efficiently, and you'll be more productive in the remaining 4 hours. So I like Lustig's concept of not necessarily making time, but improving your productivity during your time. And that's usually with proper eating and stress response, and cortisol control, and avoiding screen time. So please try to maintain what you've mastered so far, and then it'll leapfrog you to our next 12 weeks, where we'll start and hopefully finish up in November, or at least depends on when you're watching this, for our next summit, our pinnacle. Hopefully this helps. Remember, with regards to your vitamins, just stick with vitamin D, omega-3 fish oil, a multivitamin. You can probably put away the Gymnema sylvestri and the Garcinia for the next challenge. And if you have any, just in case an injury does occur or your knees flare up, or in the time period that you do try a new activity, you get a sore shoulder or low back pain, that's when you'll rely on glucosamine sulfate, turmeric, and magnesium. And I'll put links to my previous videos on injury.